how's it going, guys? As usual, it's taken me longer to get this video out than I would like. For whatever reason, when I was recording me and Neeher's conversation, his audio came out way too compressed and peaked. I tried to fix it as best as I could possibly. Oh boy, I can't even speak. I tried my best to fix it, and I even bought DaVinci Resolve, the studio version, to see if I can use some of those tools to help it. I hope it doesn't distract away from the great conversation we've had, but if you're wondering how the audio got to where it is, I can only do so much. And I don't want to ask him to re-record it, and there's a lot of good information. We talk about animating in Starfield. What are some things that could possibly make it easier to mod in animation for Starfield? And Fallout London, which he works on, Sim Settlements, he works on that as well as I do. And so, yeah, we're just going to roll with it. And without further ado, let's get into it. Also, sorry, one more thing. I will be making this a podcast as well without an intro and an outro. That should be following this video. Okay, let's do this. Hey, how's it going, Neeher?
Hey, pretty good.
Day going all right?
Yeah, pretty good. I got LASIK yesterday. That was exciting.
Oh, shit. Can you see like a superhero now?
Oh, yeah. It's incredible. Eyes are still healing, though. I'm wearing sunglasses right now, looking at this bright monitor.
Oh, how long do you have to wear the glasses for?
I don't have to wear them at all. It's just mostly letting my eyes take it easy because I work looking at a computer and I mod looking at a computer. And
Right. I thought it was for like X-Men being Cyclops, you know?
Oh, no, yeah. Yeah, it was pretty much.
Damn.
And,
better do you think it got?
Oh, it's tremendously better. Like I had glasses before. And they were testing them out. I was still seeing 20/20 with the glasses, despite them being really old. But, walking outside now, earlier, it's dark out now, but I could see like pretty crisply far away, way better than with the glasses. So it's been awesome.
Did it help with night at all?
No, I'd say night's either about the same or maybe a little bit worse, which is expected.
So it says something with the range in there?
It's something with how the laser like kind of flattens your eye a bit, and that doesn't allow as much light to come into your pupil, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about light collection now, I guess. But as my eyes heal, they should get better. So that's what they say.
Yeah, I've always had like really good eyesight until just recently, I guess 38, I guess when you hit 40, like it's deteriorated quite a bit.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm pretty good. My biggest issue is night. For some reason, night has just destroyed me in the past couple of years.
Huh.
I guess I should count my blessings, but it's kind of one of those things, you don't know what you got until it's gone.
Guess so. Yeah, I'm just going to enjoy my sight while I still have it.
Are you still having to stare at Fallout London? I've seen pictures changing, and they're looking for advertisers and whatnot. They seem to be gearing up.
Yeah, we're gearing up. We need like video editors and just media people, more or less, because audio engineers,
So if anybody's listening, who's an audio engineer, advertiser.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I think we got some audio engineers, but I don't know, maybe more the merrier. But
video editors, people good with social media, probably.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, we just did a big rebranding as Team Full On instead of Fallout London. I mean, I'm just a 3D artist. So I'm just that's not my area, but they wanted to, that department wanted to be stand out separately from Fallout because Fallout, that's a owned IP. So we're like, just play it safe. Team Full On. There you go.
Right. We got Sim Settlements, Team Fall On.
Yeah.
I wonder what's new in Miami? Is it
Fallout Miami?
Yeah. So
did they do a rename? I'm not sure. I haven't heard that.
No, me neither. But that's what I was thinking. And they're probably got to do the same thing.
It still says Fallout Miami to me.
On
their Discord. Interesting.
Well, they're not as close, I don't think.
Yeah, and then you have like Capital Wasteland Project. That's its own name. There's what's it? Vault 13, or is it Fallout Vault? I don't know.
I thought it was Vault 13. I could be wrong though. You finding a way to play some Starfield?
I haven't been so busy. A fair amount of Starfield. A little bit less these past few weeks because it's just been super busy.
Right, I can imagine. Yeah, both teams that you're on have been gearing up one way or the other.
Oh yeah, I mean like Sim Settlements Chapter 3 dropped, and that the goal was have it out there a month before Starfield comes out.
Mm-hmm.
We did that.
Yeah, somehow.
And then we did some patching, it's a mod that's going to happen. And then Starfield came out. I got the standard edition, but my friend got the what is it, the premium edition,
The
so he could play
premium.
early. But then he couldn't play early, so he let me borrow his Steam account to unpack my Starfield and then play it.
Oh, was that the same friend got the key code? You gave him the key code?
No, that was a different friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I got to play on his account, and then I did that for about a day, and then the next day I got hit with COVID pretty good.
Oh,
And couldn't play Starfield basically until it would have just come out normally.
oh, that's the worst.
I'm glad I didn't I'm glad I didn't buy the premium edition because, well, I mean, you get the DLC free, but I'll just have to get that separately myself.
Yeah, Flashy Joe, he got the special edition, but something happened in work and he was like doing double shifts. And so yeah, he couldn't play it anyway.
No. You gotta take the time off, man.
Yeah, I know quite a few people who had like a week, 2 weeks off, just a block of time.
Yeah, it came out Thursday night, and I had Friday off to play it, but then I got sick anyway. And then, yeah, that was unfortunate timing.
That is really unfortunate.
Pretty tragic.
Well, the amount you have been playing, how's it been so far?
It's been pretty good. Yeah, well, like, I guess I'll ask, how spoilery can we talk about
Oh,
Starfield?
I'm just going to put a spoiler warning for this. At this point, there's only so much you can dance around it. I mean, if you can avoid saying the ending or something, sure. But, you don't have to censor yourself too hard.
Because I have beaten it up to the ending.
How many times?
Not at all. I stepped away. I'll say that. I decided I wasn't. I'm not there.
So everyone knows there's a new game.
Yeah,
plus.
everyone knows by this point. That's Bethesda's new game plus. But yeah, I kind of only played the main story because I didn't want it to get spoiled to me. Interesting story. When Fallout 4 was coming out back in 2015, before the game even came out, someone messaged me, and it was just the straight up main twist of the story. I hated them for it. It was some rando. I had no idea who it was. But the main story twist just told me it, and I was like, oh, I wish I didn't read that.
Why did they just were trying to share?
There was some troll.
Just a troll.
They were probably doing it to tons of people, and I got caught in it. I was really sad. But it didn't stop me from playing it and still enjoying the game. So I was like, that's not happening this time. I'm playing Starfield, and I'm just mainly doing the main story so that I can be safe. And so I did that.
I didn't want to rush it. Same thing, it's a Bethesda game. I've always been spoiled, not because I've been trying to not look, or I've just never really cared too much. Until now, I've been covering it so much. I'm like, you know what? This will be the first game that I just go in and I have no idea about what it's going to be. And so I was like, kind of the same mindset, rush through it. And I was like, this was the worst game for me to rush through. I don't know if you got that same.
Why do you say that?
Well, because I didn't have the chance. I, did the romance option and I was enjoying it. I was like, oh, cool. I like these stories. But when you get to the end, the way it's set up, it's kind of like it takes it down a notch of you caring about what happens in that universe now. For me, anyway, I felt like there was a certain detachment that came once you get to the end of the game.
Yeah, I could see that.
For better or for worse.
Especially when you get to the first thing, I'll say.
The first thing, right. The new game. And then
you're like, what the heck is going on?
I mean, story-wise, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. To me, it's a Bethesda game. The main story, that's a small part of the game, really. And I found in this game, it doesn't really connect to anything else anyways, really. It's its own thing. That's part of the marketing was you can do whatever you want. You can play this main story. You don't have to play it at all.
Right.
And that's definitely true.
Yeah, When they said playing for modders, they definitely designed this for modders. So open-ended with the new Game Plus, with everything else. It's like, it makes me surprised they didn't drop the freaking CK so quick since it's all developed for modding.
No, I wasn't surprised by that. I'm expecting like April or something, 6 month delay, because that's what they did for Fallout 4, and I think that was a good amount of, time to wait. I don't want to jump into Starfield modding yet. I'm still on Fallout 4, and I want to kind of stay on that for a while. But once that CK comes out, I know I'm gonna jump straight over to Starfield to figure things out.
It's a no choice scenario.
New. Yeah, pretty much. So, and it's like, I'm fine waiting. I can wait.
Yeah, I'll probably be doing the same thing. I mean, I am sketching some like character dialogue kind of stuff, but as far as just diving head deep into it, I'll probably end up, as soon as the CK goes, finally mod my game out. Then I'll go from there.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of mods, but it's just with the patches that are going to be coming out and how many times it's going to break mods and whatnot, I don't bother with it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I have not modded the game at all. Mostly because I just don't really care to. I mean, that's what I was doing like in Fallout 4. I mostly play that as a vanilla game when I ever play it, but despite being a modder, I only have like 5 or so mods that I play with that aren't my own.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. I'm more of the I like to add on to the game, not really change it. And a lot of mods really change things.
Do you like to zero in on a type of playthrough and set up a couple mods that fit that playthrough and then run it all the way to the end? How do you kind of go about when you mod?
It's mostly just things that I kind of always play it the same way for the most part. I have the set idea of this is just how I play a game. So like something like a mod was have multiple companions at once. That's not hugely game changing. It's just nice to have like two followers. You can have Piper and Nick at the same time. They're cool.
Right.
But you don't need a huge crowd following you. That's ridiculous.
It gets too easy.
Yeah, and they get in the way and trying to walk through a doorway or something. You're like, get out of the way. But yeah, like it's pretty simple mods too. Like they're not gun mods, they're not new story mods, they're not dungeons, they're very simple little mods that don't really change the game very much.
Interesting. So a bit of a purist.
Yeah, I guess so. But I definitely like to make my own mods for other people, sure, yeah.
So then what inspires you? I mean, because you model great gun textures and models and put them in for animation. I mean, what inspires you to make specific weapons?
It's a good question. I think it's just the community. I just they like the thing I make, and I'm like, cool. And it's kind of like an art form, a creative outlet. At this point, I don't play Fallout anymore. I haven't in a long time.
Fair.
Mostly because I know it inside and out and how every little thing works. So the mystery of the game, the immersion is kind of just not there anymore. I can look at a chunk of grass and know exactly what the name of its form ID is in the game. And it's just
that really kills the magic.
Yeah. And back when I was trying to play Fallout 4, I'd be like playing it and I'd be like, no, now I just want to mod it. I just want to make something of my own,
Yeah, I can see, I'm just happy that there's Starfield, so I can leave my Fallout load order for modding it. So, because I kept having to change it back and forth because, I'd be playing through it or doing it for a stream or something like that and have to go back and change the, the code in it so that it can actually be integrated into the bigger patch.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, the main ESM or whatever. So I always forget it, and then when I get into the game, I realize it because all the words for items are all symbols and random dashes and numbers. I'm like, what the hell happened? I was like, oh, right, I didn't switch it out.
Localization.
Yeah, localization. Thank you. That's the word I was somehow fishing for.
Yeah, that's for version control. You hop that around back and forth. I generally just leave it on the localization because, again, I know every little button in the game. So even though it says jumbled letters, I know what it truly means.
Right, but for when I was streaming, it's like I think I was
Oh, if you're streaming it, yeah.
it looks like chaos. I was doing Frost. I was
Hmm.
doing a playthrough of that, and it was driving me crazy because it was the first time I ran across it, and I didn't know what items did in the Frost because it's such an overhaul.
Mm.
Yeah, that it took me way longer than it should have. I was like, I thought I changed everything back, but yeah.
Yeah, I like to have multiple installs of Fallout 4. One for
Oh,
modding, one for playing, and then another for London, basically.
how do you do that? Or do you keep it in another hard drive, or
It's all in the
because
Steam folder. I just rename Fallout 4 to like Fallout 4 London, Fallout 4 mod. Whichever one I want to be the active Fallout 4, I just name to Fallout 4.
I feel so stupid. That would have been so much easier because I was like, how can I do this? Because Nexus always wants to switch between the mod load
Yeah.
orders, right? But it never gets it right.
Oh,
And I still have to go in and change things. And so, yeah, I didn't even think about that of just changing the file. How does it look in your Steam? Does it actually show as a new game?
the new game?
You know, when you look at the Steam list, all your games, it says Fallout 4, Fallout 3. Is there like a Fallout
Uh,
4 New London?
Oh, no. You'd have to add that as a separate game now. It's just in the common directory, it's just separate, and then I just rename it.
Got it. Okay, so then you have it on your desktop.
So yeah, Steam doesn't track it or anything.
I was thinking that would be super slick. You just go on Steam and you can have all your different versions right there. Okay, good. I'm not that far behind. So in Starfield, there's a bunch of freaking animation improvements, and we talked a little bit about before it was released, and there's definitely more that we've seen now that it is released. You got any more thoughts on those animations and anything you can enlighten us novices about how they're implemented? Maybe a little bit different than they were in Fallout.
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting stuff in the game. Like, so you jetpack up to a ledge, but you don't quite make it, but you can pull yourself up.
That one's
That's
awesome.
new. That's pretty cool. I'm surprised they didn't show that in the gameplay trailers, or I either that or I missed it. But
Or the ladder.
that's something you learn pretty quickly. The ladder, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Kind of hate it a little bit, but I mean, it's slow.
It's slow, but it's there out of necessity,
Hmm.
which is kind of how why they put it in there in the first. In Fallout 4, they could have added ladders if they wanted in the same manner, but
Right.
it was just, did they need it? No, not really.
No, it's even in Skyrim from modders.
Yeah, I mean, I've added ladders into Fallout 4, when Bethesda does it, they take it at the next level. And in ships, you can build vertically. You don't need stairs. It would make more sense to have ladders. So again, out of necessity, they implemented ladders. Not that they
Mm,
couldn't do it before. It's just it now makes sense to actually put the manpower into doing it.
right.
But they definitely did it really well. You can approach it, you can climb up it, you can stop midway and look around. You can go back down again without
Hmm.
reaching the top. You can go up all the way if you want, hop off. It was implemented pretty well. I like it.
Do you think it'd be difficult to add a slide effect? So going down, you can go down quicker?
Add a side effect?
Yeah, because right now you can only
Maybe.
climb up and down.
In terms of like a replacer, sure, probably. You could replace the going down animation with a faster slide version,
Hmm.
depending on how they set it up, whatever states are involved in controlling the animation set. But
I also got a YouTube comment asking if it's possible to get cover and combat. Something like Gears of War,
you basically can in Starfield and even Fallout 4.
where
Um,
you like, let's say you're
you contextual lean around a corner,
right.
or even if you're behind a box and you want to look over it, the game will, and you aim, the game will, in first person, I mean, it'll lift you up a little bit more so you could see over that object. And
Hmm.
if you stop aiming, you drop down again. That's in Fallout 4 and it's in Starfield. But a game like, I believe in the YouTube comedy was about Gears of War. I'm very familiar with Gears of War. That's a strictly third person. I don't know if you just heard my cat meow. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
no, it's fine. He's an extra
Cosmo, what
guest.
are you doing? But yeah, in Gears of War, it's a strictly third person game,
Hmm.
unless you're using like the long shot, sniper rifle. It's, you can snap into cover, look around, hop between cover. It makes more sense in that game because it's third person and you can free fire over your head
Mm.
because again, it's third person. You can see where you're aiming still. Whereas in a game like Starfield, that's mostly first person, I'd say, you wouldn't be able to blind fire and see.
Where you're
You
shooting.
might as well just look and aim.
But could it be an option in third person?
I was thinking about that in Fallout 4, and I believe Starfield, though I guess I haven't really looked and paid attention enough. NPCs can snap into cover
I've
and
seen that.
blind fire and stuff. And I feel like there was probably a mod at some point that let you in third person also do the same, animation set. Though I find it was probably kind of janky and not very graceful about it.
Right. Because if you switched, how well does it do it? And if you're partway through the animation and you switch, what will happen?
Yeah, it was probably like a keyboard and hotkey binding thing to, if I were to have set that up, I would have done it that way.
To switch it on and
But
off, or to activate the slide, or to
yeah, to
pop
be
the
like,
cover.
or if you're in cover, press this button to just do the reach over your head and blind fire
Hmm.
animation. Yeah, it's hard to say how smooth that would be.
I think just because the third person is much more applicable to be used in this game than I felt like it was in Fallout 4. I could understand it being kind of nice to be able to play with some of those mechanics of sliding and locking into place and popping up, because like the Division, I do enjoy that part sometimes. But you're right, I didn't think about the kind of the first person aspect of that.
Yeah, so that's a third person game as well, right? The
Hmm.
Division. Yeah, it's definitely hard to say. Games definitely have their movement capabilities that really make it a really nice game, like Apex Legends or Titanfall. The movement mechanics are everything in that game.
Hmm.
Also the gunplay, but it's things. The fluidness of the game is extremely important, and in Bethesda's case with this engine, I feel like adding all these things in there is going to take away from the smoothness and add in all this more clunkiness or oops, I didn't mean to actually do that kind of thing.
Oh, you mean absolutely slide in, lock into place, and then you're wrestling with him. Like, no, 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 I need to move. I'm gonna get shot on the face or
Or
something like
yeah,
that.
like I'm like, oh, I'm too close to this cover. I didn't mean to do this animation or something.
That's true. Well, that's how I feel about when I sit in benches and fall out. I'm like, God damn
Oh
it,
yeah,
I'm not trying to sit down.
yeah, pretty much.
So the 3D animations on there. Do you know anything about if the NIF scope and how the models are ported in now from? I'm not sure which version they're using of 3D Max, if it's 2016 or what year is it, but do you know if there's any difference in the port between that and getting it into the game? Because I know you had to use a lot of third-party tools, I believe, to get in your model to animation. Do you know if there's anything
um,
that's changed with that?
you don't really need any third-party tools. You can just use the official Bethesda tools, but they don't give you all the tools.
Hmm.
So in a lot of cases, something like NifScope, it's just easier to do things in NifScope than it is to do in 3ds Max.
Hmm.
And so it's a time saver, really. But not everyone has access to 3ds Max.
Right. Sorry. I
So
meant from Blender over. I was using 3ds Max of what they're
oh,
using.
Blender.
My
Yeah,
apologies.
Blender, I imagine is super limited. I think there's no problem with 3D modeling, especially into Starfield. I think it's going to be more open than ever. Because the biggest problem wasn't modeling so much as animation. I don't know if anyone has successfully animated in Blender for Fallout 4. I know you can create poses and such,
Hmm.
but not animation. I have no idea. I don't use Blender, so I don't follow it, so I don't know. But for the most part, my understanding that it's a kind of locked away, not open to the public, pretty much, or not
Mm.
as easily accessible
And
as what I think Starfield will have.
what was the kind of the big barrier of getting animations into it?
Oh, well, that was the Havoc engine
Okay.
that Bethesda uses for Fallout 4. Shortly, if I remember correctly, shortly before Fallout 4 came out, Microsoft bought Havoc and locked it away.
Mm.
So no one can really do much with it without some super janky behind the scenes trickery or taking things apart and spending forever reassembling things to do new things. But if you were animating for things that were normal in the game, you could use Havoc content tools to, create the animations with 3ds Max or Maya.
Okay.
And it sounds like Starfield doesn't have Havoc. So that's why I'm saying it's going to be more openly accessible, and we'll probably see more animators in Starfield now.
Oh, awesome! Because I remember trying to install a lot of the animations, and you needed a separate what is it, third party tool that basically like compounds them all together to make sure that they all can work together. Otherwise, they would be stepping on each other's toes essentially. I'm not big at animation, so excuse my layman terms of this. But yeah, for every time I try to do an animation and get a bunch of them together, there is always going to be some glitch or clunk in it that I just, I don't know how to work around it.
Yeah. We haven't been able to really look into what you can do with Starfield, but just the fact that it doesn't use Havoc, that's already a huge plus. I guess a lot of game engines today handle physics their own way now, like Unreal does. The Creation Engine doesn't, or didn't before. Instead, Havoc Engine worked with the Creation Engine to handle the physics and animation. But you see, like in Starfield, evidence that there isn't Havoc is, 0G, different gravity and different planets, that kind of thing. And it's not like, when I first thought of it, it was like, oh, so if you're on this planet, they'll set the actor value jump to blah, 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 so that way it fakes the gravity.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the case. If you drop your gun, like from your inventory, and then toss it into whatever planet with a low gravity environment, it'll float away,
Yeah, same with people you shoot.
Yeah, people you shoot or objects that are just sitting on a table that get interrupted, they'll just blast away. It's really impressive. I love it.
Yeah, that's some of my favorite parts, and I wish they utilized that more of that, like going onto derelict ships or playing with anti-gravity more. I wish your ship, when it got damaged, got more into that, or there's a lot I think that could be done with mods involving more anti-gravity, or zero G, I should say.
Yeah, or like less gravity in general, or zero G too. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting stuff.
Yeah, I'm waiting for sports in it, some zero G sports.
Zero G sports. Wasn't that? I don't know if you played Dead Space, but there was a sports game you can play in zero G.
Oh, really?
In the game, yeah. It was really awesome. I replayed the Dead Space remake, and I encountered that part, and I was like, oh, yeah.
For me,
it was a lot of fun.
It's not zero G, but it's basically the same thing. It's Blitzball in Final Fantasy X. It's a dome of water. So they're basically playing soccer in a dome of water. And so it's the same kind of idea as zero G. I mean, of course you have to swim around, but I was like, oh God, I love this game. And so ever since then, I've been like, why haven't there been more cool side sports in games?
That's true, yeah. Huh.
Yeah, or even like,
sure, someone will make someone.
Yeah, I mean, even like Witcher, I love Gwent, like insanely. I was like, that's a great card game.
Oh yeah, it's got its own separate game, right?
Yeah, they made some sort of, it's one of those, I don't know if it's pay to win, but
card game.
I wish they would have just come out with a $20 game of it where you can just play it and not have to worry about buying packs and all that crap. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
My magic days are over.
Yeah, or you could play like Pazak and Coder.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
I
never really even thought of it, really. Huh.
Yeah, all the little side games in it. And I was expecting more in Starfield. I was expecting some, because they had all the board games and cards everywhere. And they even have the, Red Mile, which has a casino. I was like, not one poker. I mean, they had New Vegas had at least gambling.
That's true. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, I was a little let down by that. Maybe because I just like gambling.
Yeah, with how little dev time they had for New Vegas. I was pretty surprised they implemented gameplay.
Yeah, it was kind of like you guys
I'm like,
really like
huh,
pushed a lot into this.
it's Vegas, so I guess, yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of an argument for those, larger teams to medium-sized to smaller teams. Not necessarily the more people you add to a team doesn't mean that game's going to get out any faster or more in depth. A lot of times, too many people stepping on each other's toes.
Yeah, stepping on each other's toes or getting a little too ambitious, you know.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There's another thing that I just saw yesterday. It was someone posted in my Discord. Boba French, great name. But it was
Boba
a
French.
Boba French. Yeah, he I guess he pulled this from a mod author Top G, and he was talking about Starfield uses real PBR.
Yes.
Yeah, and he says though the downsides that the file sizes are going to be a lot larger. Here are how
Oh,
the
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he says here's how the textures work in Fallout 4, which I thought was interesting. Diffuse
Yep.
map, normal map, specular gloss.
Yeah, this is the specular map.
I'm not sure what the hell
Very
specular
easy.
gloss is.
I can describe it if you want.
Yeah, please.
All right, so the diffuse is the color, basically. If it's metal, it'll be like gray or whatever. You know, it's got red paint on it, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We're imagining a gun, by the way. The normal map handles how the game handles the depth. So say there's like a scratch in the gun. You don't need to model that. Instead, the normal map will fake it and give it the appearance of depth. And the specular map is what handles reflection and how things are shiny, basically. To keep it
Metallic or
simple.
paint or
Metallic or rough, you know. It's very it's a very simple and easy to texture or export, basically, and it keeps file size down pretty well because like the diffuse map you can have really high quality and then have like the normal and the specular be lower quality and save space. So yeah, the problem with PBR is the downside is yeah much bigger file sizes, but you're giving the game a lot more information to work with to bring your gun to life. So like the guns in Fallout 4 are pretty trash compared to the how the guns look in Starfield, despite the model of the gun being probably around the same in terms of intensity of detail.
Yeah,
So
they look slick. I love almost all the guns in it. I mean, some of them could be shrunken down, or what they do is kind of whatever. But the designs themselves, I was really impressed with.
yeah, I really like the guns. They're pretty cool.
And so they were saying that the PBR, right? So this is how it works in Starfield: is you have a color map, normal map, ambient occlusion, rough, metal, metallic, and mask for camos. I guess in there. Yeah, that's substantious. Substantially
Yeah,
a couple more steps. So, what does something like the ambient occlusion do in this situation?
That's gonna be kind of hard to say. Ambient inclusion is it's finding, that's kind of hard to describe for Starfield since I haven't modded Starfield. But ambient occlusion, it kind of just it can highlight the exposed parts and it can hide the crevices. It points out, I imagine the lighting engine would make use of it to determine where shadows go, for example.
So, like dry brushing.
Sure.
The best stupid analogy I can pull out of my brain.
Yeah, so I haven't, been able to dive into Starfield's texture and how it works to really tell you how Starfield's or Creation Engine 2.0 is going to handle it or what it's going to do with the information.
Yeah, and then it says the roughness map, which is inverted gloss. So I guess that's just more depth of the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, that's roughness not going to be very shiny as metallic. And since they're separating it, because I guess PBR is like the standard for the industry, and Bethesda just hasn't wanted to go there, probably because of file size.
Right, which is understandable. It's a huge freaking file.
Yep. So if you have this material that you can now separate the roughness from the metallic, that's just visually is going to be a lot more appealing than if they were blended together on one file.
Right. Yeah. Just like anything artistic, the more depth you put in, the more lining, the outlines, everything you do to it, it's just going to pop more.
Yeah, I mean, like, imagine you have this 2048 by 2048 square texture. If both, if the metallic and the roughness are sharing that same space, you only have a quarter of the detail.
Mhm.
But if they're now two sets of 2048 by 2048, that's 4 times as much detail
I see.
that you can now dedicate to the model.
So it's
But again, I'm no expert in that field.
oh,
Texture
right,
is
right,
probably
right.
my least impressive
W-
ability.
yeah, all those, I mean, they can all be people dedicated to one of these. Like, you can go as in deep as you want into just about any of these fields here.
Oh yeah, I'm an animator,
Yeah,
not a texture artist.
right. You get it out there, you get them animated. Although, I mean, your guns are pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look great to me.
Oh, thanks.
Speaking of which, can you bring them over? And now that there's added layers and steps, can you bring over previous guns you've made?
I was thinking I wanted to try that whenever I guess the CK launches. I wanted to try to get the select revolver over. That
Hmm.
being the Good Samaritan from Hellboy.
That'd be a
I wanted
great,
to
great
Yeah, I
handgun.
wanted to like put that in the game with my model and my textures and see how does the game render it. Does it look significantly better? Because like I wouldn't be able to just be like, here are those 3 texture maps. Now I need to re-export those textures. Like I have the project files to do it. I have to just re-export them with, now the roughness map is its own thing, metallic, normals, diffuse,
Hmm.
ambient occlusion. Those are all now separate files. So it wouldn't be that the texture part would be super easy to get into the game. The modeling, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it, but I've heard that the game now has empty model files that then point to the real model files. I have no idea why, but it just sounds like it has extra steps for that.
Yeah, that makes it kind of sound like how you do for like quest chains, where you put an alias and kind of make a pathway for it. I don't know if
Yeah, I feel like it is like an extra step that doesn't need to be there, but again, I haven't been able to like look and see why. It could
right.
just be like an optimization thing, you don't know. And then there's the animation that I have no idea. I don't know if that will port over. It will probably have to be reanimated for Starfield separately.
Right, because it went off of the Havoc, right?
Well, it's not just that. Again, I also have the project files for all the animation stuff in Max, but it's the skeleton is going to be different. Just like the hand bones, the weapon bones. I don't even know if the game uses weapon bones. It might just be gun gun bones separately. Like that's how other games work.
Hmm.
But it could be anything at all. I have no idea. And so that's going to be part of the process of trying to port the select revolver over. Should be interesting though. See what all you need to do because at the moment, no idea. Besides the textures.
Yeah, this is definitely my weak suit. So it's kind of nice to read that that article from Top G, I guess, is the mod author. He also said all mesh details are no longer stored into one NIF. They are now separated between .NIF and .mesh. Geometry is now stored in the mesh files.
Yeah.
Apparently, the guys working on NIFscope have figured out what these are.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning before, where I was like, there's the empty NIF files that point to other things. Yeah,
Got it.
I have no idea what they're doing. It's again, like I said, it just sounds like extra steps. I would be curious to know if you could keep mesh data in the NIF and try to load it in the game and see what happens, or if it won't like that. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of experimenting.
So your first mod thinking was probably going to be porting over some of your old ones to see how it works, if it's possible.
Yeah, just to see how it works, and it would answer a lot of my questions along the way in terms of thinking of more mods in the future. It's all about reverse engineering. That's what I did with Fallout 4, figuring out how things work.
Right, playing around with
So
it.
it's just more of the same, really.
Curious. So, do you have the 3D Max of the newer version? Do you have a license for it, or is it just one of the ones you can grab for the I don't want to say pirated, but you know what I mean, like the older ones that everyone used for modeling Fallout 4 and whatnot?
Well, the problem is that I have no idea what, which one they Bethesda used
Mm.
because they released the tools for Fallout 4. It only worked on one version, and so curious to know which one. Because when they release the Creation Kit, they'll undoubtedly release their plugins for either Max or Maya. to be like, oh, you have to use this one. And at the moment, I have no idea which one. And so I'm not spending money to figure that out at the moment.
Hopefully the 3D Max helps them out by keeping it as an open freaking thing you can buy or or rent instead of having it to be some backlogged animation studio thing you have to harass them about getting, like 3D Max, whatever year it was, 20.
Yeah, 2013. You'd have to get in touch with support for that one. But it was I don't even know if you could probably get that today. This was a long time ago.
Yeah, I heard you
Um,
could get in contact if you had a license for like the newer 3ds Max. You could
mhm.
email them and be like, "Hey, can you give me this version of it for a certain game?" But still, more steps.
Yep. And I just hope it is 3ds Max they're using. I have a feeling they've been moving towards Maya, which is
Oh,
still Autodesk, but
why do you think that
it's
is?
just it's just Maya's kind of been the industry has been moving towards, especially for animation. 3ds Max is kind of tough in its own way, whereas Maya is more easier in other ways. And I don't know. I just think since the industry is moving that way, Bethesda might be too.
I think most people are still surprised that are keeping with their creation kit. I mean, I know why modders like it, but I don't. I think a lot of people don't understand why we do enjoy the creation kit and what we can do with it.
Yeah, the Unreal Engine, I have played with it. It's just a big headache, and I don't like it.
Granted, that is
It's pretty annoying.
coming from creation kit modders.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm not surprised they didn't go Unreal. Bethesda spent a lot of money on their creation engine, so they're gonna
Yeah.
stick with that. I'm surprised CD Projekt Red dropped Red Engine. But yeah, I think the last Red Engine project is Phantom Liberty that just came out.
Right, and then that's right. So then when they do Cyberpunk the 2 or whatever they call it, this going to be on the
Yeah,
Unreal Engine.
in their future games, yeah.
Yeah, that's really going to change the feel of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I really like Cyberpunk. That's an amazing game. But the gunplay is super weak and very tough to work with.
Hmm.
It's very sluggish and choppy and not very fluid feeling. Unlike Creation Engine, for example, even Fallout 4 is way better than Cyberpunk's.
Yeah, I'm surprised how much I love the freaking gun combat in Starfield. Like it's a solid gun shooting game.
Yeah.
Close combat, it has some room for animations, but in general, the hits of it feel right. The feeling is there. I just think they need to turn up
hmm
the amount of close combat weapons and animations.
Yeah, there's some things I wish they did. Like take Cyberpunk for example. That's a game where every gun has multiple reloads that can play. I think it's just two, maybe three.
Twist the gun, throw it in the air type stuff.
Yeah, just reload it, or even more mundane guns, they just reload slightly differently because it's just getting rid of that repetitive feel.
Hmm.
Like Fallout 4, it only supports the one reload. Starfield only has the one reload, and that can get really repetitive.
Right. Yeah,
It's just like, all right, gotta reload for a while.
it would be cool to tie it to a perk, tie it
Or yeah,
to,
a perk would be cool. Yeah.
yeah, if you go down that gun tree, you get a new reload, and then maybe at the end you get a flourish, like maybe crit hit or something, and you just fire another random shot that hits someone else, with a like twist of the gun, something like that really does add depth. Because I agree with you when you watch Cyberpunk and some of the gunplay they do for reloading, it just adds a certain amount of life to it.
Yeah, the gunplay in Cyberpunk, the I'm talking mouse and keyboard. The mouse to the game feel is off and terrible,
Hmm.
but the animations and the feel of the animations are excellent and amazing. They're really good.
Yeah, but they are locked in first
But
person.
there's just this disconnect. Yeah, you are in first person, yeah. So they don't have to spend a ton of time on third person animations.
Which would probably
That's
end
a
up
good
looking a
point.
little flat because you're at a distance of it. So it'd just be seeing your character just kind of throw a gun in the air, or a little pistol, and then catch it.
Exactly, yeah.
So, you're a very purist that we've discovered for modding. But what
Oh
mods
yeah, sure.
are you looking forward to now that you've been playing it? What do you want to see added to it?
I've thought of some things.
Do tell.
Some will be controversial.
Hmm, that's good. I like that. I like those comments.
We'll get one of those out of the way. First off, remove the jetpack. I don't want that thing.
Ooh, going for the jugular. All right.
Drop the jetpack.
And your reasoning?
When you're okay, so when you're out in the world, there's no vehicles, so you just have to like run jetpack. I find myself hopping in the air, going whoop 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 until I'm out of jetpack fuel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is so silly and dumb. I need to get rid of this thing. Something else I've noticed is that when you're going through a level, so you're fighting someone or something, I don't find myself appreciating the level design. Instead, I'm flying past it, if that makes any sense.
No, I agree with you,
So
at least on that.
I'm just not seeing, like in Fallout 4, I'm not flying through, whatever level. I'm looking at all the things and
Mm-hmm.
enjoying the feel and the atmosphere of the game. But if you have a jetpack and you're flying all around, especially in a low gravity environment, it just feels like it takes away. So I've been trying not to use a jetpack, and I would like a mod that totally cuts it. That'd be nice. Or maybe not like totally cuts it, but like
put a force
that'd be
field
chopping it
around
out.
around
Or it was like greatly nerfing it or something.
Yeah, I love the jetpack, but I do definitely get that sense that you blow past all the really well laid out background placement of things, the little Easter eggs all over. I saw one, it was a book on a table and it said, do not read. And you try to grab it and it's attached to the table. So it's just a little thing, it's funny. But, I think a lot of those are probably being missed because of what you said. As soon as you see there's a second level, you're just going to jet pack up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Another one was UC mission. It's not really spoilerly, but there's an underground place where there's a huge gap in a building that's underground, and it looks really cool. And they have a way for you to walk around it and you can explore it. But I blew past that thing in like 10 seconds. I'm like,
yeah,
right to the other side. And I even remember going, oh, I kind of want to check it out. But once I was past it, that was it.
Done and gone.
Done and gone. So
I had a problem like that with the main story. Basically, you just go to this cave and get an artifact, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went down to the cave and there's like a path you can take, but I just walked off the cliff and then hit the jetpack button as soon as I was about to reach the ground and I was safe.
Yeah, it is a safety.
I walked like 20 feet and there was the artifact. Interestingly enough, I don't know if it's procedurally generated where you get the artifact, whichever one, but I got 2 artifacts from the same identical cave. I swear it was the same, just on another planet. And I was like, this is throwing me off. Because I jumped off the same cliff, turned left, and then there it was 20 feet away.
I haven't had it with that, but I have had it exploring many caves.
Yeah, so you see a cave, just drop down or whatever. And then jetpack up, especially if it's a low gravity environment again. So yeah, you miss out on things if you're just flying past it at light speed.
So it almost would be better to have cut the jetpack out and then just have vehicles to get you to point A to point B.
Yeah, to get you to that cave, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great. Or get
just like the horse did.
Or horse.
yeah.
Back to the main question there.
Oh yeah, please.
I thought of a couple other mods. One was, you go from planet to planet and they have different gravities.
Mm-hmm.
I think your carry mass should change from planet to planet.
There is a mod for that.
There is a mod for that?
I just saw that. I should find that guy.
That's the kind of mod I would use.
Yeah, it makes total sense, and it's really kind of cool because you can just go to those low gravity places and just loot like crazy. Those could be your looting, and then fill everything in your ship.
Get on your ship.
I like that.
Yeah, so that was something that bothered me. I was testing it out. And I was like, what? This is the same carry mass? I'm over encumbered again?
Mm-hmm. So one has been checked off. I mean, I haven't tested it myself, but people, I think it popped up on Juicehead too.
Oh yeah, I saw he did release a video earlier today, maybe, or yesterday. I don't know when this. I don't know when your video here is coming out, but I haven't watched that Juicehead yet.
Maybe this weekend. It all depends on freaking editing. It could be daunting. Like I sit down. I'm such a procrastinator. I literally am the epitome of when a cat is going to sit on a pillow, and he just keeps walking around it a couple times,
Yeah.
and he sits down. That's me. Except like I sit in the pillow, and then the moment I go, oh, I need to get something to drink, I get up, and then that pillow becomes my whole house. And I'm just walking around the house. And then I'm like, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go to the grocery store. And then I come back around. I'm like, oh, crap, right? I still got to do all this. So, yeah, it should be out this week.
All right. Well, happy weekend, everyone. But so yeah, that was one idea that we can probably check off. Another one that I hope Bethesda will do, because they did this with Fallout 4 post-launch, is a proper hardcore mode.
Yeah. It seems like it was designed for it.
I know, there's all this food that you have for nothing.
For nothing.
And there's all these atmospheric effects and all these warnings, and it's just like, I think I had like a pulled muscle for days. I just didn't attend to it because it didn't really seem to do anything to my character. They kind of just winced in pain every once in a while.
You get fractures like crazy.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I've never healed a fracture. It just seems to heal on its own. I was like, whatever. But a proper hardcore mode like that, or with making enemies less bullet spongy, would be amazing. In this game, you're the main character. You're basically God. I find that really annoying. If I can, in this hardcore scenario, this is how I play Fallout 4. Enemies are mostly one or two shot. I also want to be one or two shot.
Yeah, I like that too.
And then that brings me back to appreciating the level design still. Again, some more.
Right, you're not
because you're
going
going to
through
spend
it.
more time. Yeah, you're not just flying through it. Bam, bam. You're dead. Haha. I'm God.
Yeah. I didn't realize all the things in Skyrim. Like, it was a whole new game to me when I played Requiem, and it forced me to really hunt and really like survive. So I was slowly going through things, and then I would notice like things that I've passed by a million times. I'm like, oh, there is still things to find once I'm scared of dying every second. Yeah.
Bethesda implements all these mechanics, but then they kind of undercut them for what I would call just the casual player. And, I guess that's probably most players. That's fine.
Yeah.
But I would like them to still appeal to us more hardcore fans that are going to, spend forever in their game, not just play it once and be done and move on to the next game.
Did you ever, there was a Reddit post about kind of talking about the original design, and it was just his assumption. There was like no backing of it, but it made so much sense about how the game design was implemented before. It was way more hardcore. Did you read that Reddit post?
I feel like Juicehead did a video on it and I watched that.
So it was made so much sense because you were here, you start at this planet, and then the whole right side of the map's open, and you have fuel tanks that don't matter really on your ship because they took out you needing to refill at different spots. So the game loop before, it seems like you would travel as far as your gas tank would take you and your jump drive, and then you'd have to build an outpost to refuel to get to the next chunk of planet. And all the, Todd already confirmed some of that, but like with the fuel that they said, it slowed down the game pace or whatever, a Bethesda answer. But then they
slow down the game pace.
I know.
This game, for me, I have it on M.2 drive and NVMe. It loads everything instantly, basically.
Yeah. I just meant like
it's just an extra step.
Yeah, you run out of fuel, go get some fuel.
Alpha Centauri or whatever.
And then, having a different spacesuit for different environments.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. And I thought all that stuff he said was wonderful, but they nixed it all. But the cool thing is that a lot of that stuff is still there and it can be brought back out. Same with the planets. They're actually 3D models with animations around them. They're not.
Yeah, they're for real.
Yeah, so that means they had an idea for this of looking for fuel, going around the solar system, and really traveling more. And it looks like they cut it all down for some reason. I don't know why.
For the casual player, someone that just wants to play the RPG, the Bethesda RPG.
Yeah.
And I would like to play that kind of game, the hardcore mode one.
Absolutely love to play that way. Flashy Joe is looking to do his advanced needs for that, so that
Mm.
is exciting. But yeah, exactly. Bethesda needs to put it in, I think. They have it. They had their ideas for it. It looks like they got pretty damn far into it. It would be easier for them to just go back and throw that stuff in for us.
Yeah, and they might just do that because I mean that's what they would follow for. Hardcore mode came out post launch
Mm-hmm.
in an update.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah, and that one seemed like a totally tacked on hardcore mode, not like they were planning it from the start.
No, yeah, well, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, eat 6,000 calories. Otherwise, you suck.
You can only save when you sleep, and no fast travel allowed.
The fast travel has pissed me off. Like I am all down. I am all down for it in Skyrim. It makes sense. You have carts. You have horse. Great. Fallout, it made no sense. Like I don't want to keep walking back to Sanctuary.
Walk everywhere, yeah. I had this brings me back to one of the few mods I had, right? It was
Mhm.
called Journey, I believe. And it allowed you to fast travel in hardcore mode, but to only owned settlements. So if you own the
Mhm.
settlement, you could fast travel to that. But you couldn't do it to anything else.
Makes sense. So you
I
don't
like
have to
that.
keep walking back to that point you've already explored. Starfield, I feel the same way. If I can travel there the first time, get the fuel, get the jump, I have that location, then I should be able to fast travel to it. That's my thing. Fast travel I'm okay with as long as I discover it or there's an alternative way to get there. But God, yeah. Taking out fast travels, I'm past that age.
I guess that's a little extreme, but there's I was thinking about it. A game that came out earlier this year, Star Wars Jedi Survivor,
Mhm.
or even the first one, Jedi Fallen Order. They handle the fast travel between planets in that game way better than Starfield does. Starfield, you just whatever power you throw into the grab drive, and then you're there, and that's that. And I don't know if you've played Jedi Survivor or either of the games.
I've played the first one to a point. I do love it. I think it was a very beautiful game. My issue is I saw the pattern of like, oh, I need to get double jump for this section. I need to.
Oh yeah, if you want to explore something, you have to
Yeah,
come back to it.
it kind of cooled me off. But I mean, the gameplay and everything was really enjoyable, and it's difficult as all hell if you turn up the difficulty on that game.
I beat Jedi Survivor, and then I played it again on the hardest difficulty, and I was like, it was pretty hard, but that
Yeah.
is probably my game of the year. That game is phenomenal. And just to tie it back into Starfield again, the fast travel between the planets, you select the planet you want to go to, and then you actually have to travel there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no loading screen. You go, Grease, the pilot.
They're talking.
They'll talk to whoever else is on the ship. They'll say something. You're flying at FTL, and then you sit down in the chair, and then you pop in the world, and the planet just punches in, and it's just the coolest view ever. It never gets old, and it loads everything in the background while you're in transit. It's great.
Yeah. The only limit, there's only a few planets in Jedi Survivor.
Yeah.
So Starfield, you're gonna have to call those voice actors back up to make just paragraphs of random chats.
Yeah, I have 2 people on my ship in Starfield, and they will not stop saying the same, 2 or 3 lines to each other all the time.
I don't know what the hell the conditioning is for this, man. It's just like
I need to kick one off so they just stop.
yeah, or like, have a condition like if they do it twice, never again.
Yeah.
I get it once, you can't hear it, but fucking oh yeah.
Yeah, and then they'll talk over, if you're in a transmission hailing someone else, they'll just talk over that.
Yep.
I'm just like, oh, shut up.
There's 3 people talking. Vasco pipes in.
Wait.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be too hard to fix on the Bethesda's end. I'm sure they'll take care of that in their larger patch they have coming out at some point.
Yeah, I hope they do get more lines because I like the idea. As you said, it's cool to just travel and talk to those people. Maybe you can actually have one of your other people pilot and you can be walking around your ship, right? Since you hire pilots, have them pilot. And more voice, more talking. You can walk around your ship like Mass Effect and then see how people are doing on that trip. There's a lot of room for that.
Yeah, there's plenty of mods that we could want. Brings it back to another idea was everything that's happening in space silent, please. I don't need to hear explosions in space.
Oh, I
Just kind
see.
of a realism thing.
Mm-hmm.
It bothers me quite a bit. Even though it's like kind of muffled, why have it at all?
It is a standard. I get both sides of it
Yeah,
because you
it's
want,
in Star Trek and
yeah,
Star Wars.
it's a
Pew, pew, pew,
reaction
pew, pew,
tactile
pew.
thing.
Want something haptic going on. You can feel it in the ship, in your own ship. That's I don't need to hear laser sounds and missiles.
I think that one's going to
uh,
be your most controversial thing. Probably not the jetpack.
no, the next one's gonna be
Oh,
that one.
let's hear it.
Harkens back to when you first asked me my initial thoughts on Starfield, and that
Mm-hmm.
was the dialogue system. And I want the voiced protagonist back.
That's right.
I I find that I don't play games or Bethesda's games like most people.
Mm-hmm.
Take Jedi Survivor again. I'm not playing as myself. I'm playing as Cal Kestis. What is Cal Kestis going to do? Fallout 4, I play the game as the player character. People joke around like they get out of Vault 111 and they don't care about Sean. They just do whatever they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
The player character cared about Sean. The spouse that died would have cared about Sean. So I'm going to care about Sean. And that's how I play the game. Jedi Survivor is voiced, Cal Kestis is voiced. It's cinematic. It feels awesome. You're seeing their story. Most people I can understand, they play Bethesda games. They're playing their own story. They're making it up as it goes, their own headcanon, their own lore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't play that way. I play as that player character. So that's what's taken me out of Starfield quite a bit, is that I'm not playing as some intended character. And that kind of, it really throws me out of it quite a bit when it's just, you select the whatever dialogue options and it's flat. There's no cinematic camera. When you start the game and you wake up and you do this whole huge character creation thing, and you can create anybody at all, and it's super in depth and unbelievably well made. And I wonder why. Why is that even a thing? You never see your character really.
Oh, I stare at them all the
You
time.
never, unless you're in third person, or if you're in the inventory screen, or later, I'll say. But I just don't know why it's so incredibly well made, but you never make use of it. And
Right.
I don't understand. In Fallout 4, you create your character and it actually means something because you're going to see it all the time. You're going to see that player character. You're going to see the soul survivor as you made them. And it's so much more immersive to me in that sense. So Starfield being like a huge step back, like Skyrim and Fallout 3, with their dialogue interface, to me it is a huge downgrade. And it really bothers me. And I would really like some mod that brings back at least even seeing your own character, the dialogue camera. And if there was someone who made some AI generated fake voice for the character, not using real voices, but there's some that are just fake voices that are trainable. I would be all for that.
So there's a couple things. I thought of you adding someone voice, a good voice actor coming up like Jake or someone, and just saying, hey, I'll put in all the voice lines for this. And then Flashy
But
Joe
that's
is
such an unbelievable undertaking.
it's huge. It's huge. And Flashy Joe pointed out, he goes, that's just not going to happen. It didn't happen in Fallout 4 because you're going to interact and modify every ESM file there is. And it's just going to be
every
like
scene,
freaking mess.
every topic info, it would be huge.
And I didn't think about that.
I don't see it happening.
No, right. And it hasn't happened for Fallout 4. And, I didn't think about it before. And because I on that video, I was harassing you. I was like, I'll do the voice for you. I'll do all the voice characters for you. But I was, Flashy pointed out, he's like, well, it would just be too much of an undertaking. That's why it doesn't happen in Fallout 4 and whatnot. And so, I get it. I do. But I'll go back to Skyrim more than I go back to Fallout 4 because I can put my own headcanon to it. And I think that just really boils down to like how your personality adapts
Just
around
your
it.
approach to gaming.
Absolutely.
Especially in terms of Bethesda games.
True, but I Witcher, I love Geralt, right? But I'll play that 1 or 2 times and I'm good because I know who Geralt is and I know his story that, I play it one way and that's the only way I can really imagine Geralt being is the first way I play it. If I try to play him some other way.
It's like Cal Kestis, or Isaac Clarke in Dead Space.
I mean, great actors, and I loved what they did, and their voices are iconic. Even Nate and Nora were great voice actors.
They're amazing.
Yeah, and
Courtney Taylor, jeez,
yeah, she's been in many things. Although Starfield's voice actors, they pulled on my heartstrings. They got everybody from Star Trek. They got Kira. They got Quark. They got friggin' all of them. So I was pretty surprised. Yeah. Yeah, your
like
parents.
Not a Visitor.
Have you had your parents?
And no, I didn't choose that trait or starter life story thing. Right?
Okay, spoiler for anybody who doesn't know the voice actors, but so your mom is Kira, and
Not
your
a Visitor.
Yeah, and your dad is oh my god, Tuvok.
Really, Tim Russ?
Yeah,
he's in Fallout 4, right?
No, who's he play as?
He plays Captain Kells on the Brotherhood. He's like one of the first guys you meet. It's Tim Russ. I was like, oh, I know this voice. I love Star Trek. I'm a huge Star Trek nerd.
Oh, awesome. Then Quark is Walter.
Walter. Really?
Yeah, that's Quark. I had to go back and listen to it.
Get that?
And then I was like, oh shit, that's Quark. And it made so much sense. He's the businessman.
That's like Armin Shimmerman, I believe.
Amazing actor.
I had no idea. I guess I'm like in Quark, he's so used to wearing, the teeth.
The teeth.
Because he's a Ferengi, but.
And how he, how his delays go with his delivery is very specific to that.
Man, I need to.
Go back and listen to it.
Once we're done here, I'm gonna hop into Starfield and check that out.
Go get the parents. I was like, Kira, holy shit.
There's
people from Babylon too. To check out the voice layers.
Babylon 2, or is that Babylon 5?
Babylon 5. I was saying 2 also.
Oh, I never even heard of. Like who is the one? Oh no, I'm thinking of Farscape. Never mind. I was thinking of Claudia Black.
Sorry, the name is eluding me. Yeah, but there's a lot of sci-fi voice actors that are in it. So it's super cool that they picked up a lot of sci-fi people and put them in there. Made me happy.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I wish Rene Arbichonos, I forgot how to pronounce his last name. Odo?
Oh, yeah.
He was in New Vegas.
Yeah, what was he? I miss these people too.
He was House.
Oh, that
Mr.
was
House.
Odo?
That was Odo.
Now I have to go back and listen to some videos.
Remember correctly, yeah, it was House. And, so he's been in Bethesda games before. And he did a lot of voice acting. I remember he was in Avatar: The Last Airbender at some point, and I don't know if you've seen that, but if he were still alive, I would expect him to be in Starfield at this point.
Yeah, and listening to I play Star Trek Online.
Oh yeah.
I played through the stories and I like hearing all the characters again, and so I think I just got used to hearing them all the time. That it just didn't register that they're in this game. That's my excuse anyway. But yeah, I'm amazed by I missed Kira. Like I had someone else point it out, and I was like, that was like my boyhood crush. I friggin' loved Kira.
Kira Nerys.
Yeah, I was like, how did I miss that? I totally got off topic of whatever the hell we were talking about.
Voiced protagonist.
Voiced protagonist, right. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. I think it's really kind of your preference of how you play it. And you're not the only one. I think Llama, RCA, she's the same way.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, she wants voice protagonist. So yeah, you're not an anomaly. Some people are really, they just want that story narrative.
It's still quite a small little club we have going on.
Right, but where credit's due, For main quest, it is so hard. Bethesda it actually did pretty well in Starfield, but it's so hard for them to have a direct main quest and have not a voice protagonist because you're trying not to shoehorn someone into a type of character by using their voice. You don't have what they sound like, so you're just trying to make a
Yeah.
very broad like
So I just
anyone
feel
could
like,
be
am I
there.
supposed to be playing myself? I read them in my head, those voice lines. I don't know.
And I totally do.
I'm just not into it that much.
I make voices. I do the whole
I'm no voice
shtick.
actor.
Yeah, I like getting into it and trying to create the character. It may sit hard though because even after all the voice lines, your companions don't give you as much as I was expecting to work with.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was. It's definitely quite the downgrade from Fallout 4. I mean, even in Fallout, you could tell your companion to stand over there
yeah.
or whatever, go get something, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But in this game, it's very minimal. Even people make fun of, oh, in Fallout 4, you can only have four dialogue options. I mean, that's how it is in this game with most companion dialogue anyway.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, let's trade. What are your thoughts? Or whatever.
Yeah, and after you get through kind of
It's pretty simplified.
their main spiel, that I don't feel like there's anything that's going to be added. Spoiler again, but when you get to that final relationship thing, it's just kind of like there's nothing else. There's nothing else that really pops up or talking
Well,
about. Oh, good.
there's nothing, yeah, you can really talk to them about, but what I did like is that they do incorporate them into side quests quite a bit. They interject a lot.
Mm-hmm. Right, but not relationship
So
bound.
I have been enjoying that. But no, it's just part of the quest scene.
Yeah, that part is great. Don't get me wrong. There is a lot of lines, and they do feel like they are part of the conversation. Just relationship wise, I felt that it was close because I thought it was kind of cool that they had it where you're like dating, and then you can like commit. I thought it was kind of a cool idea. I felt they rushed it, but then again, I realized how New Game Plus is implemented, and so that it kind of made sense for the relationship to progress fast, for it to fit into before you move on. And so it kind of made sense, but I felt like they had a good framework for creating it. Sometimes you'd say, "Oh, I'm really into you," and they're kind of like, I'm not really at that place right now. Let's focus on the mission." I was like, "Oh, that is super cool." Like I like that it doesn't just like, play the script for you, that there's actually a little bit of anticipation. I just wish they would have done more of that and made it mean even more.
Sure, yeah. And then it's yeah, it's definitely interesting. When it ends, it just suddenly ends.
Yeah.
There's really nothing more to do with that character once you've completed their thing.
Yeah, that's it. And there's so many opportunities. House for Rune would be a great entry to continue down that path in the relationship, and special missions maybe associated with that. And same with Sarah, maybe visiting her friend Aja or whatever more, and they have other missions that add to it and kind of keep building that relationship. They didn't have to do the lovers lab, anything like that, but the dialogue, you know,
Yeah, they didn't need to go cyberpunk with it.
yeah, they didn't, they
I was
didn't,
not expecting that.
there's modders, that can always be added, but adding the relationship and the voice actors, well, that becomes more of a problem. So I was really hoping they would have filled out that voice library so that modders could go in there and do whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hmm.
you're in the middle of doing London right now and
Yep.
Sim Settlements. I usually ask what projects, is there anything you're working on right now or anything like that, but you're kind of the one man army for animation for all these different little projects.
Yeah, with some settlements, we're doing just little touches of stuff afterwards. London, I'm doing a lot of gun weapon animations, and then some, dialogue scene animations for story stuff.
No
And
mocap.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And then my own project, the main one. that I've been messing around with a little bit has been the new Pip-boy.
Awesome.
That's
When do you think
turned out
that's,
pretty good.
because you've done you've done Pip-boy stuff before, right? I swear I've
Yeah, I've
seen
created a Pip-boy before. This is my second Pip-boy. And this one, I think just last week I put out a demo video of the new Pip-boy. So if anyone wants to check that out, do so. When it's going to be out, I have no idea.
That's a fair enough answer. So I'm going to leave a link for Neeher's video and his YouTube page, and also, of course, his Nexus. So if you're out there,
Sure.
check him out. He is truly a one-man animator. Everybody needs him. Everybody needs animators. They're hard to find.
Yeah, I get a lot of requests
Yeah,
from various groups. I'm like, I can't help you.
it's animators and coders seem to be the backbone,
Actually,
but
yeah,
hard to
pretty
find.
much.
Me, I'm a
Pretty
dime a
much.
dozen. I'm a dialogue monkey. I just put in I put in people's words. And
Hey, that's the kind of stuff I don't want to do.
right,
So thank
it's
you.
monotonous as hell, but I like it. That's my own
good.
weird.
Well, that's good because yeah, I don't. That's the slog that I hit when I need to do like a dungeon quest mod kind of thing. I'm just like, no.
It's an absolute slug, but for some reason it just makes me laugh as I'm doing it. I'm like, how many different people could come into this room and talk to this damn doctor? Like, how many people are going to hear this? But I don't know. I kind of.
It's important though. It's crucial.
It is. As we said, it's the small little details as we're talking companions. The more that's going on, the more talking, of course, not over each other, but the more conversation that's happening, it definitely fills in a game. And so does animation. 100%. So thank you, Neeher. I appreciate you taking the time out. And I'm hoping when the CK drops, I can do a little devil's advocate and have you make a gun mod, just a brief idea, or porting it to the actual game or something. I kind of want to get different modders little CK tips, essentially. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right, Neeher. Well, I'm going to let you off. And once again, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun. Always is.
Hey, thank you so much for sticking to the end. I hope it wasn't too distracting, the audio. The next one, I promise I'll do better. I say that, but there's not much I can do when I'm recording until I find out afterwards the audio has been shot or over compressed or whatever. So what I did is I took off all compression and all monitor and yada yada yada, so I just get very basic audio. Then I'll do the rest of it all in DaVinci Resolve, where I have a better suite of tools. Probably more information than you needed, but once again, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It helps me out if you give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this type of content. This is releasing on a Sunday again, so Sunday isn't the best. So if you can go ahead and push up that algorithm, it means a lot to me. And it means a lot to get mod authors' points of views out there, information they have. I think this is all really useful, especially since we're gearing up to get the Creation Kit 2 and get some more awesome mods out there. I'm going to keep hunting down mod authors as long as they keep letting me ask some questions. I will be here. So stay safe, guys, and mod reckless.